Hey guys, and welcome back to the finale of the HFC playthrough of Super Mario Galaxy. You thought you could escape it? Brain scratch, guys? No! Rosalina's storybook go now.
Ooh.
We're going on a fields trip. A fields trip.
The thing about Rosalina's storybook is that chapters unlock as you progress through the game, but whenever you decide to actually go to the library, it'll just automatically play all of the chapters you've unlocked to that point. So if you save it till the end, you're going to be reading the entire storybook all at once, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because it is children's book length, but still.
It's just like a real book. Once you pick one up and open the pages, you just can't stop reading. It's actually kind of like a curse of some kind.
And don't read the last page first, you fucking cheater. I actually prefer reading everything at once, opposed to going back sporadically and checking the new chapter out. It's a book, not a television series.
I remember when I read Order of the Phoenix in a weekend. Got home on the Friday after school, picked up the book, read it over the weekend, because I didn't want to be spoiled when I got to school, because there's always going to be one person who's like, oh, Dobby dies.
I just read it in a marathon, but when I got to the final book, I went to the midnight premiere, right? But then by the time I got the book, it was morning, because I actually couldn't get it at midnight. I had to wait until morning to get it from the place I actually pre-ordered from. And I was so, out of it. I was about to fall asleep, but I had to take the bus home. But I was too tired to read, but I still wanted to read, so I wound up peeking at all the plot points on the bus. And
Oh, Lewis, what are you like?
Yeah, I just did what everyone else did around me at the time. Turn him to the back, open the last page, he lives.
It's so tempting, I tell you.
I love the artwork of this storybook. I think it's based on that one French cartoon. You know, the guy who walks around the planet?
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
yeah, I've read that, actually. I don't remember what it was called, though.
50 Shades of Grey.
No. Hell no.
This shot right here, I think, is a straight reference to it, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, how do we feel about Rosalina's storybook, just in terms of tone and content? Lewis, let's start with you, mate.
It's very charming. It's also kind of sad. I think part of that is the music, but the ending particularly tugged at me, you know?
And you know what? It's entirely optional as well. You could come in here, see the chapters where you don't see the sad stuff, and then piss off because you hate reading or something in a Mario game. I don't know. I'm just making up straw man arguments right now.
I'm not really sure whether or not I can refute that.
Do you think the story, as simplistic as it is, it does enough to give Rosalina a more of a backstory than any character in this universe has. But in terms of this, if we're critiquing the story itself, do you think the revelation that Rosalina's mom is dead is unnecessary mood whiplash, or is it just something that builds character?
I think it builds character and explains why she's such a motherly figure, especially to the Lumas. Because in the story, you can see her being she's willing, but still a bit hesitant. When she kind of comes to terms with it, that's when she finally starts to realize that she can be a parent to these little creatures.
Also, it gives her something to relate to the Luma with. You know, a motivation for helping in the first place. You don't just pack up and leave your planet for no good reason unless you're Sora, Kairi, and Riku, in which case all you need is curiosity and a raft.
Yeah, and a big sense of ungratefulness. That dinner never got eaten, Sora, you fuck.
All you need is a raft, some curiosity, and a bag of mushrooms.
Also, it explains why the bunnies are the ones to teach you how to move and whatnot when you land on the initial planetoid. Because that was Rosalina's favourite stuffed toy as a child.
Yeah, they take the form of Rosalina's stuffed toy. Exactly right. You know, it is a bit depressing, though, because in the beginning, Rosalina insists, after some time, she wants to go back home to her mama, but it's then revealed that mom's been dead for a while. And is that, I don't know, is that denial, you would say?
No, I think that's a very emotional thing. Even adults will need their parents at some point in their lives, even if they have passed on.
This is just something you don't expect from a Mario game, but it's like, it does make for interesting discussion, I find.
I wouldn't say the storybook in particular kind of cements my opinion of the game, but just the scope of it, I think, helps to make Galaxy my favourite 3D title. And I know you don't really need story in a Mario game, but one, this is optional, and two, as Louis said, it's charming, so, I can't really fault it.
And Miyamoto hates it all the same.
Yeah, well, fuck Miyamoto. He's not perfect, he makes mistakes.
Don't necessarily have to agree with the man. He's a good game designer, doesn't mean he knows everything about game design there is to know.
He's very old-fashioned, is Miyamoto, so he's, like, pure gameplay, like, raw gameplay and nothing but, and that's fine. I think that's a very admirable trait, but sometimes if you're going to put a story in, do it well. Don't half-ass it like you did in Galaxy 2.
Yeah, well, I'd rather have someone like him than some other designer who sees the whole process of making a video game as an obstacle to their particular brand of creativity, like those designers for that one shooter who said, well, there's no getting around the fact that we're making a video game here, but...
Oh, like me and my famous games, where if you die, it is a failure of the game designer?
Is that a David Cage?
It's supposed to be David Cage. That's the first honest reaction to that impression I have ever heard. Oh god, the feels.
But let's say, though, how would you guys like to see this story continued if they insisted on keeping the story for Galaxy 2?
Well, the whole universe practically resets, and there's the line right there. It's hinted at because obviously this is a child's game at the end of the day, or a game for all ages, whatever, but the primary demographic is kids, I guess. But the whole universe reset, so let's see some rejig galaxies. I would say Rosalina and her Lumas are kind of like so cosmically above a reset that it wouldn't affect them, but I'd love to see Mario and whatnot go through the whole experience again, but slightly differently.
Oh, that was what they tried for. They just tried for it in a really abridged way.
And what's funny is, it's presented as a story, because I'm not sure if you'd be able to tell this at the beginning, but there's a big white border around Mario, and it's all 2D, like a book, and at the end of the game, spoilers, it's revealed that Rosalina is reading from a storybook.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the tutorial sequence for Galaxy 2, I think every time you transition to another screen, it's like a page turning. So, yeah, if that doesn't make it obvious that it's someone's reading it from a book, then I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, it was a nice nod, and it's good to see that they didn't throw Mario Galaxy 1 out completely.
Well, it's because Rosalina and the Lumas are such a non-entity in Galaxy 2 until the very end that there's no story to tell or flesh out from what we've already established.
Aww.
So, which one am I going to eat?
All of them. Never-ending buffet. Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah, I hit the jackpot.
Does kind of look like an ocean of gummy bears, doesn't it? Man, I'm hungry.
Think of the calories.
Actually, if you watch one of the endings, you'll be able to see that Luma who sacrificed himself to become basically what is the Comet Observatory, alive and well. You can find him in the wreckage of Rosalina's original starship, I believe.
Ah, yes, the after credits thing. It's kind of funny though, because those the spaceship that they fly off in the storybook is mushroom shaped. Even though when you talk to Captain Toad, the mushroom shaped ship they're designing for Captain Toad, everyone seems to think they're designing it that way, because Captain Toad and his group are mushrooms, but clearly not. When
in actuality, it's just because Rosalina comes from the Mushroom Kingdom. Or some area adjacent to it, anyway.
No, I would say again, that's going into the whole theory, but I think it's pretty blatantly just from showing, not telling, that she hails from the Mushroom Kingdom.
She visits the planet, like, every time the Star Festival rolls around, which is like 100, 200 years. So she's coming home. It's an anniversary.
Makes you think of, well, like, makes you wonder, like, how old is Rosalina, honestly?
Well, you know, exposed to space radiation, she could be thousands of years old at this point.
Yeah, she hulks out when she gets angry.
Now, at this point in time, we have precisely 241 stars. You actually need all 120 stars from Mario and Luigi, and then you need to beat Bowser a second time to unlock this galaxy. I've gone ahead and done Luigi's version of it already, just so when we get this star we can actually say goodbye. So, let's move on to the very final mission of the game, the Grand Finale Galaxy. Welcome to the Star Festival.
More of a, this is just, kick your feet up and relax because you've done it. I mean, this is just bragging rights. There's nothing to prove here. Easiest 100 purple coin mission in the entire game.
Well, I think it's time we started wrapping stuff up here, because basically all we're going to be doing is running down a set path and talking to people, having a good time. So, Ryan, let's start with you, mate. Can you sum up Super Mario Galaxy in less than 10 words, and maybe a bit of an addendum on the end?
Great game, much better follow-up to Sunshine.
Okay, nicely done. Any other parting comments?
Not particularly. It's just a fantastic game, so go out and play it.
Okay, Lewis.
Really good game, except for all the swimming. I think that was 8 words.
Perfect. Any other parting comments?
No, I've got nothing. Nothing that I haven't already bitched about in previous parts, anyway.
Fair enough. John, go for it, mate.
Super Mario Galaxy is a fantastic game. Go play it. That's 10 words exactly. You don't have to count.
Parting comments?
For more of my opinion on Super Mario Galaxy, watch my review on Some Call Me Johnny. Plug over.
Yeah, and also the Brain Scratch playthrough. Okay, time for me. Super Mario Galaxy is my favourite 3D Mario title. Whee! There you go, 10 exactly. There's a few niggles here and there, nitpicks, qualms, queries, but overall, this is my favourite title. It's just so charming. It's an enjoyable time. Pick it up if you want a bit of something different in regards to Mario, or if you want straight gameplay, go for Galaxy 2. But, that's it. We're done, so I want to give a massive thanks to the Brain Scratch guys. You've been wonderful to work with. Go subscribe to them if you haven't already, and hopefully we'll be able to work together again, like in a few months' time.
Looking forward to it, Tom. Whatever the hell it is.
Thank you, guys, and thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for playing my game.
Thank you.